Namaste and greetings. Hello and welcome to the Center for Spiritually Integrated Arts, a Centers for Spiritual Living teaching center. I am Reverend Dr. Raymond Anderson, the founding minister and the spiritual director. If you have questions about what is a teaching center, who is Reverend Dr. Raymond Anderson, what is Centers for Spiritual Living? What is metaphysical spirituality? Feel free to send an email to spirituallyintegratederarts@gmail.com. The website with tons of information will be available soon. In the meantime, feel free to follow us, to join us, to subscribe via Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and our YouTube channel. For more information, as I said, send an email, look for us, join us. I look forward to chatting with you more very soon. Much love, appreciation, and all of that. Blessings. Hello, 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 I see you again. Hello, hello, everybody. Good morning, happy, blessed Sunday, or whatever day of the week it is that you're watching this. It is a blessed and beautiful morning. 'Tis spring, and it is time for us to refresh and renew. So, this month, April, our scheduled time to meet for our after Sunday message gathering is set for April 30th. I know in a couple of weeks ago I said the 29th or something, or 23rd, and I know it was a mistake. April 30th. Now, because I have surgery on April 25th, there is the possibility that I may not join you in the fellowship, but it will be open. Tracy will open it to make sure that you are all able to come together and chat and do what we would normally do, whether I'm there or not. At this present moment, I am declaring that my health and well-being will be that which gives me the space and the capacity to join you. And so it is. But just know that if I choose to take that time to rest, I may not see you. Now, if you don't already have the link, however, to join us, send an email to spirituallyintegratederts@gmail.com so you can get the Zoom link to join us, not just on this date, but on future dates, April, May, June, July, et cetera, December, because it's the same link that we use to gather. So, questions? If there are none, then let's jump in to today's message: vulnerability, letting go, and letting in. Say what now? Letting go and letting in. Today, we will be discussing vulnerability on the individual level, because we understand that the more we are engaging in this process of doing the work individually, the more it gives us the capacity to do it in the collective. Not just on our own, like twiddling our thumbs, like, I'm going to do it. Now you are responsible to do it yourself. But when I am doing my work, then when I am now in community, I encourage and I nurture and I become contagious so that we in community do the work and then the collective does the work. But we have to do it individually as well. So we are going to explore what this means: self-reflection, how that understanding of self allows us this space to be open and to serve, understanding that we are an integral part of culture and society. We are the hands of God, the bodies of God, the eyes of God, the ears of God, the beingness of God. Whatever it is that we have or do not have, doesn't matter. The point is, we are an individualized expression of it, which means we are an important part of it. We are an integral part of it. Breathe. Now, being this integral part, how willing are we to be vulnerable with ourselves, to ourselves, around just ourselves and around others? Because the more that we can make friends with all aspects of ourselves, all parts of ourselves, the more we are able to begin to explore what it means to bring all of ourselves fully to everything that we do, everywhere that we go, because we are being expansiveness in all of the ways that life itself shows up in us, through us, and as us. And the more we are able to do this for ourselves, the greater becomes our ability to create the space to encourage and nurture others to be able to do the same. Because once again, that's how we shift and transform the collective. I do my work. And then when we are together, because you do your work and I do my work, where two and more come together in the name and the nature of what we are talking about, this expansiveness of consciousness, then that which is expansive consciousness must be right in the midst of that. And then it ripples out, because then the two become three, the three become six, the six become 12, etc. Breathe. And simply breathe, being willing to be vulnerable. Because one of the things that sort of hinders us from being vulnerable is this idea of, I don't like you very much at all. Who's he talking to? Do you not realize that you're talking to yourself? Breathe. Because what is this indicating for us? It's indicating that very often we engage in the practice of non-life affirming self-talk. And it is precisely that. It is non-life affirming. In the Bible, it says, you have death and you have life in the power of your words. The words, thoughts, the words, sending a text or an email, the words, all of the ways that we communicate, verbally, in writing, in sign language, in thought. You have the power of death and life. Death and life in the power of your words. So What kind of steward are you of your words? We often talk about people who squander their money. Do you squander the power of your words to engage in non-life affirming self-talk? At some point or another, we all do it to a certain degree. Our invitation this month, our invitation this day, our invitation right now is to breathe into this space of being committed to stewarding our words more effectively, to be more life affirming. Because the more I am life affirming with my own self talk, how I talk to myself about myself, begins to show up in how I talk about others. The more I am life affirming with myself, the more I am life affirming about others. And bear in mind, never forget, everything we say, the universe is listening and the law is saying yes. So does it not benefit us to shift the energy around the words we are using to be more life affirming? Dr. Holmes says, always there is an inner, quiet, persistent confidence, a non-resistant but complete acceptance, an inward flowing with the stream of life, knowing that it carries me safely and surely to my destination and to the accomplishment of every good purpose. There is always this inner, and when it says quiet, quiet doesn't mean quiet means the universe, nature has no need to scream or argue. It's quiet. Right now, my heart is beating. Do you hear it? No, it's quiet. But with the right instrument, it's loud and strong and healthy. With the right sense of beingness. Oftentimes people will talk about the still small voice of God. God's voice is not small. The only reason it appears to be small is because other things seem to loom much larger. Worries and fears and stresses loom much larger. So this quiet and still voice, still. It has no need to thrash about, still. It has no need to fuss or fight, still and quiet, at peace, at rest. It is always there, and it is persistent. It is the divine. It is confidence itself. It is the divine. It is always there. So he says, knowing that it carries me, do you know that you are carried by the universe because it is the universe carrying itself? Do you trust that you are safe? Now, we are entering into a realm of there is safety in terms of our infinite divinity. Because sometimes in the world of conditions, we feel anything but safe. School shootings, anything but safe. Grocery store shootings, anything but safe. Police sanctioned murders, anything but safe. Politicians advocating for lynching by tree. It's 2023 though. Anything but safe. Terrorism, anything but safe. So our invitation is, because if I cannot access the innate divine safety, then this looms so much larger and so much more out of control. But when I have access to this, it gives me the means and the methods, the tools and the techniques to then be able to stand right in the center of this fear and this lack of safety and recognize and acknowledge exactly what I feel and then to do something about it. Whether that's see a therapist, whether that's become a social justice advocate, whatever that run for office, whatever it means, because I am anchored and grounded in principle, even while feeling unsafe, even while feeling afraid, because I know the truth of my being, safety and certainty, confidence, the divine, that will guide me, lead me, bring me to this destination, this destined realization, this materialization, this experience, whatever lingo we want to use. But what it's saying is when my mental equivalent is grounded and I'm aligned and I am convicted and move with the commitment of it as it, then that which I seek to manifest, the destination, that which I seek to create, I will certainly arrive at my destination. I will arrive at that place where the "and so it is my experience. That's why we say we don't live in answered prayer. We live as answered prayer. For the accomplishment of every good purpose, we live as answered prayer. Being vulnerable gives us the space, both and. Breathe. Remember, we did this Robert Frost thing. We dance round in a ring and suppose, but the secret sits in the center, in the middle, and knows. How often do you anchor and ground into your center, that space that knows with certainty and that safety and that confidence? How often do you practice and get in alignment with principle? Because ultimately, in order to truly seek and to truly understand and to live as this understanding, we must be courageous. Courageous enough to recognize what needs to be let go of. Courageous enough to let go of it. Courageous enough to recognize what needs to be received and accepted, and courageous enough to receive and accept it. It's one thing to say, I am willing. It's another thing to actually do it. So I recognize that I should let go of this relationship, but am I going to do it? I know that I should receive more love and appreciation, but am I going to do it? In order to truly embody what we are talking about, the courage to not just recognize, but to act. Thomas Troward says, the law of flotation was not discovered by contemplating the sinking of things, but by contemplating the floating of things, which floated naturally, and then intelligently asking, why does that float? So what does this have to do with us? Rather than focusing on vulnerability means that I am pause. What is it that you want to experience? Do you want to experience sinking? Do you want to experience floating? Do you want to experience flying and soaring? What do you want to experience? Then what is the invitation? What is your innate divine awareness, intuition, intelligence saying? Ask the question in a different way. Ask the question in a way where you are now focusing on, doesn't say you are completely oblivious to, but you are focusing on the what is possible float, what is possible fly, what is possible heal, what is possible manifest and accomplish that which is good. How do you do that? How do you engage in that practice? So even when we're talking about something like racism, sexism, homophobia, war, etc., there's one level where you recognize and acknowledge it. What did we just say previously? Recognize and acknowledge what needs to be let go of. Courage. And then let go of it. Courage. Now, what are we going to receive? If we are eliminating these things, which separate us and segregate us, then what are we bringing? Unity and oneness, togetherness, community. Do we have the courage to receive and accept that fully? Do we recognize that that's what it is? And are we courageous enough to receive and accept it? Because if so, then that needs to be the focus. That needs to be where we are asking the questions. Why? How? Where? Which? When? Unity, communication, togetherness. What is community? What does that mean? Diversity and inclusion. What does that mean? What does it look like? What does it smell like? How do we build it? What does it mean for it to be built? Ask those questions. And then, once you have the answers, are you courageous enough to act? It's one thing to say, I want to build my spiritual community. I want to build my spiritual home so that we are open, welcoming, and affirming of all people, people with children and families of all ages and all this stuff and stuff and stuff. It's one thing to say it. But are you courageous enough? Are we courageous enough to ask the questions and to do the work, to do the practices that cause that to be the natural result? If you want something you have never had, you must be willing to do, pause, be willing to be something you have never been in order to do something you have never done. Thomas Jefferson. And you may be wondering why there's a little frowny face under his name, because Thomas Jefferson is one of those people who was very anti-slavery, but he still had slaves. So it's one of those, not sure what to do about that right now. Simply be aware. Be aware that many of the people who we have placed on pedestals are people who themselves had their own things with courage, things with vulnerability that they too were wrestling with. And our invitation is to be open at the top, to evolve beyond. Breathe. If you want something you have never had, a world that works for all, you must be willing to be something you have never been, a person that works. You must be willing to do something different to manifest this new thing. Breathe. And this takes us being vulnerable. Because the moment you ask, well, what do I want to experience individually and what do I want us to experience collectively? The moment you ask the question and the answers start to show up, it calls you into a new level of, so now that you know, what are you going to do based upon the knowing? Are you going to step into and, as we say, treat and move your feet? Are you going to now embody it fully and live it? As Dr. Phil would say, you have to name it to claim it. What do you want to experience? Name it. What do you want to experience? Name it. What do you want to experience? Name it. Say it. Write it. Pray it. Meditate it. What do you want to experience? Peace? Name it. Greater financial wealth? Name it. Health and well-being in my body? Name it. Relationships? Name it. Love and romance? Name it. Peace on earth? Name it. Name it. Don't just say vaguely, I want peace. I don't know what that means. Peace in and of itself. I don't know if you're spelling it P-E-A-C-E or P-I-E-C-E. You want peace? What, a piece of cake, a piece of pie? I don't know what you want. Speak it more clearly. Name it. Food is not the name of a food. Name it. I want food. No, I want spaghetti. Name it. Give me more. I want spaghetti, Italian meat sauce, vegan meat. I want a very rich, robust tomato sauce that has basil in it. Name it. The more specific you can name it, the more the universe, because it's saying yes, the more the universe has to say, okay, that's what it is. Okay, what and it moves what, and it moves when, and it moves how, and it moves where, and it moves. Name it. A world that works for all. Vague. Name it. What does it mean? What does it look like? And I'm not saying name it for everybody. Start with naming it for yourself. What does it mean? A world that works for all. Because individually, I have to know what it means in order for me to be it. For me, name it. See, when we go to a restaurant and I say spaghetti and with meat sauce or whatever it is that I say, I'm not ordering it for you. I'm not ordering it for everybody. It's for me. I'm naming it for me. And then we afford the opportunity for now. It is your opportunity to name and your opportunity to name, because we are gathered together under the umbrella of the name of what is this that we're doing? Fellowship, breaking bread, eating together. Ah, got you. Name it and then claim it. Good old James Brown. So Eugene reminded me of this song when we were chatting about 2-3 weeks ago. Like a dull knife, just ain't cutting. Just talking loud and saying nothing. Saying nothing. You can't tell me how to run my life down. You can't how to run my life down. You can't tell me how to keep my business sound. You can't tell me what I'm doing wrong when you keep driving and singing the same old money song. You keep on doing the same thing and the same thing, expecting different results. Dull knife. You keep on doing the same thing and the same thing and the same thing and the same thing, expecting different results. Dull knife. What is it that you are doing repeatedly, somehow expecting things to be different? Praying the same, but nothing's changing. Meditating the same, but nothing's changing. Reading the same books, but nothing's changing. Then it's time to, if you want something new, you want something different, you want a world that works for all, you want health and well-being, you want financial, whatever, what do you want? Name it. What is the invitation to be that's different? And then commit to it. Be vulnerable enough to understand what it means to sharpen your knife, to vision for what you want. How often do you vision? And I mean for you. You may do it for your community. You may do it for, I'm talking about for your individual life. How often do you vision? And you may not even know, you may be new to this. Do you know what visioning is? The visioning process. Do you know what it is or how to do it? Because I'm not going to go through that right now, but I invite you that if you do not know what it is that I'm talking about and you want to know, send me an email, me personally, at RaymondAnderson@RaymondAnderson.com or to the center at spirituallyintegratederts@gmail.com. Send an email so I can explain. So maybe we can meet on Zoom. Maybe we can do a visioning class. I don't know. But if you're not visioning for your life, what are you doing? How do you get something new, something different? The Bible says, when the people have no vision, they perish. When the people have no vision, they perish. If you have no vision for your life, then you will be led by their strife. If you have no vision for, right, you got to have vision. And the visioning process gives you the space to step in, to be open at the top, to shift, to grow, to evolve, to accept, to receive. Breathe. Do it one more time. Breathe. Thank you. So once again, you are invited to vision for your life. Vision. Eric Butterworth says, I am receptive to the inflow and the outpouring of the universe. Are you real? Not for him. For me. Are you really though? I am receptive to the inflow and the outpouring. Are you really, though? Because if we look at your life, the evidence doesn't hold up. It's like saying, I eat healthy and okay, but if we go through your cupboards and look in the refrigerator, how much cake we gonna find? How many boxes of cookies we gonna find, Reverend Ray? How much pie we gonna find? How many tubs of ice cream we gonna find? How much of that chips and dips and how much of that are we gonna find? Pop Tarts, Krispy Kreme donuts, right? We can say one thing, but what's the evidence showing? We can say, I meditate every day and I peaceful and okay. So you get in the car and someone cuts you off and doesn't use their lane change blinker, and the rage of the almighty Hulk shows up. Hulk, Matt. Okay. Thought you meditated and you were peaceful, though, because you gave me the impression that nothing ruffles your feathers. See, it's one thing to say, I meditate so that my feathers are ruffled less frequently. That's a very different conversation. I am receptive, are you really, to the inflow and the outpouring of the universe. Okay, we'll take your word for it. Because the question is, how do you really know? Because you may think you are. Many of us have convinced ourselves that if we do A, B, and C, then it means D, E, F, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. It's good. Yeah, but it's not just doing a spiritual mind treatment. There's more to it than just saying words. So, how would you know if you really are receptive to the inflow and the outpouring of? How would you really know? The evidence, right? The evidence shows you that one, what are your mental equivalents? Can you answer the question? What is or are my mental equivalents? What are the dominant thought forms, the beliefs, the paradigms? What is that going on? What are my mental equivalents? The manner in which I speak. How do I speak? How do I communicate? Because it's not just spoken, it's text, type, email. What is it? What is the manner in which I am communicating? Check in, emotions. What am I feeling? Is what I'm feeling a demonstration of what? Okay. And then my actions. Do my actions demonstrate that I am in alignment with principle and in alignment with what I say I want to experience, or are my actions showing something else? Let's ask, what do you think about yourself? As an example, what do you think about you? What kind of words do you say about yourself? How do you feel about yourself? And when it comes to the actions, how do you treat yourself? What kinds of things do you do to yourself or for yourself? These things show us the clear path to identify, are we really in alignment with what we say we desire? Are we really in alignment with what it means? Because this is where the courage comes in. This is where the vulnerability comes in. Because in order to really answer these questions, we must be willing to bear all, to be transparent, to be honest, breathe. Because it's one thing to say, or sing songs. One of my favorite songs that I love to sing very often is, I love myself so much, so I can love you so much, so you can love you so much, then you can start loving me. I love myself so much, right? I love myself. It's one thing to sing it, it's one thing to say it, but does the evidence hold up? Does the evidence really demonstrate that you have a friendship with yourself? Do you love yourself? Do you accept yourself? Or are you your own worst critic, best critic, whatever that? I don't even know what that means. Do you criticize yourself? Do you judge yourself? Do you shame yourself? Do you guilt yourself? That's not friendship. That's not a love affair with yourself. And if that's not the kind of relationship you have with yourself, love, acceptance, then you don't love God. You don't accept God. Breathe. If that which God is, the divine source, spirit, is incarnating in, through, and as you, there is no part of you that is not it, but you don't love you, but it is you, you are it, then you don't love it either. You're not friends with it either. You're not friends with the universe. And this is exactly why many of us feel like the universe is after us. The universe is going to punish us. That's why we believe, or may still might believe, in an anthropomorphic God that is ready to judge us and hurl lightning bolts and all kinds of catastrophes to punish us. That's exactly why, because we punish ourselves. And so we expect the universe to do the same. Breathe. Key Brown says, when we are vulnerable, I believe we are our truest selves. Emotion is all about vulnerability, and that is why, in the cheesiest sense, it is so beautiful. Remix. When we are vulnerable, I believe we are our truest selves. Emotion is all about vulnerability, and that is why, in the most powerful sense, it is so beautiful. Vulnerability gives us the space to be our authentic and true selves, and that is where our power resides. And it is beautiful. Frank Ocean says, there is just some magic in truth and honesty and openness. There is magic in truth and honesty and openness. There is magic in truth, honesty, and openness. Breathe. Are you willing to do your magic? Are you willing to be in the space of magic? Because that's precisely the space where we create a world that works for all. Truth, honesty, openness, vulnerability, power. Because when we unite, no one falls. And when someone forgets what love is, we remind them. When they forget what health and well-being is, we remind them. Because when we are united, we thrive. When we are united, we thrive. Because that's what community means, the coming together in unity. No one gets left behind. Breathe. Madeline L'Engle says, when we were children, we used to think that when we were grown up, we would no longer need to be vulnerable, or we would no longer be vulnerable. But to grow up is to accept vulnerability. To be alive is to be vulnerable. To be alive is to be vulnerable. And you can't not be alive. Because even when we talk about those who have made their transition, yes, they have transitioned from one plane of existence to another. But that which is God doesn't die. It is ever life itself. So life is eternal, infinite, and ever expanding, which means its incarnation as you is infinite, eternal, and ever expanding on every plane of existence where you, your individual soul, shows up. Life after life, life eternal. To be alive, to be living, which you forever will be, is to be vulnerable, to be truthful, to be honest, to be open. Breathe. This week's practice on your own, or if you join in the Thursday night group. And if you don't know anything about the Thursday night group, send me an email and I will make sure that I connect you with Tracy so you can get the Zoom link, etc. And what they do is they gather and they discuss and go over these questions. Question number 1. How does your understanding of wholeness impact your ability to be vulnerable? How does this show up in or as your relationship with community? Two, what areas or what relationships in your life are calling for, or there's an invitation for an opening so that your most authentic self can be expressed and made known? Number three, how do you discern when or what or who to let go of, and when, what, or who to let in? Woo. And number four, regarding letting go and letting in, what are some key steps in that process? In other words, how do you do it? What is your process of letting go and letting in? What is your process? Breathe. This week's declaration or affirmation, I will say it first, and if you feel in alignment with it, say it with me the second time around. Being vulnerable opens me. It opens me to the fullness of love, joy, sadness, heartbreak, and all the things in between, creating an expanded space to live and grow. Together, being vulnerable opens me. It opens me to the fullness of love, joy, sadness, heartbreak, and all the things in between, creating an expanded space to live and grow. Breathe. And as we gather at this moment, this time to close in prayer, we anchor and understand, we anchor in the realization, we anchor in the awareness of what it means to be steeped in truth, rooted in honesty, grounded in oneness, living, moving, and having our beingness in principle, walking the walk, showing up in and as community, in and as unity, in and as oneness, in and as the infinite goodness of what it means to be the divine, breathing this breath. And so, as this Sunday message comes to a close and we go out for the rest of our day doing whatever it is that we do today, we do it with this awareness and this willingness to be open, to be truthful, to be honest, to be authentic, to be our divinely magnificent selves, even with all of the stuff in between, whatever that in between stuff is. Some may call it the yuck and the muck. Whatever it is. Some may call it the mistakes and the errors. Whatever it is, it is. Without judgment, it is. And still I am. It is, and still I am. Still I am. I am that which is the infinite expression of the universe, incarnating as me. I am. It is, and still I am. An infinite expression of wonder. I am. An ever evolving consciousness. I am. Ever creative. I am. Steeped in truth. I am. Honest. I am. Open. I am. Vulnerable. I am. Powerful. I am. I am. Letting go of what does not serve, what is non-life affirming. I let it go. I let it go. And I let in. I receive that which is the goodness of, that which is life affirming. I let it all in, and all the in between, because there is no need to judge. I let it in and discern. When is it time to exhale and let the breath go? Now. When is it time to receive the next breath and let it in? Now. It is, and I am. And the law says yes. Because whatever is true about God is true about each and every one of us. I am. And what is true about me is true about you. I am. And the law says, yes, I am. And so it is. Namaste. Much love, much appreciation, everybody. See you all very soon. Take care.